It's time for Two Guys and a Goalie with Dustin Nielsen, Matt Cassian, and the goalie, Joaquin Gage.
And we have a series on our hands here in Edmonton. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Two Guys and a Goalie, brought to you, as always, by CoolBet, our great partners over at CoolBet Canada. Go to coolbet.com, sign up for an account, and use the code 2guys, the number 2, and the word guys. Chris Abbott from CoolBet. You can find him on Twitter at CoolBetChris. He's going to pop by a little bit later on in this episode, probably about 20 minutes from now. So we've got lots to discuss. Apparently, we can't discuss the end of Moon Knight because Cass hasn't seen it just yet, though. Gage, just quickly, though, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you say for that final?
10, because I know the story. I collected those things as a kid.
So you know it. See, because I watched it, and I'm like an 8.5, because I was like from a, Cass, this isn't going to spoil anything, so don't worry. But like from a production standpoint and the way it was shot, I was just like, brilliant. Like, I thought it was brilliantly done, but I don't know exactly everything that's going on, so I'm a little confused still.
Yeah, I didn't know which way they were going to go with it, and the end was perfect what they did. So awesome.
All right, we'll bring Cass back in. He had his it was like you're in the old booth on Family Feud, you know? You couldn't hear anything. That's what that looked like. That was good. All right. I mean, guys, the Oilers lose game 1. We're going to dive right into it. Obviously, we got tons to discuss about the first 2 games of this series. We'll dabble in the Leafs and Lightning later on in Calgary, Dallas, game 2 coming up here as well. But, Cass, let's start with you, man. The bounce back in a major way for the Edmonton Oilers last night. Like I was talking about this morning, anytime I didn't, like in any segment, if I didn't mention a player, they're like, how come we're not talking about him? He was really good last night. I said, like, I should have just sat there every 20 minutes on the radio this morning and just said, Hyman was good last night. Yamamoto was good last night. Fogel was good last night. I just repeated it over and over. So what'd you think of that performance, Cass, and where does that rank among what this team might be capable of doing?
Well, it's good. I think you're going to see a big pushback from LA. So the next one's going to be more challenging. I really like the special teams.
Yeah,
and I think that's what wins in the game. And the reason I think that's what wins in the game is they get that first goal. The power play got them that first goal. And to me, that first goal was everything for this team because they have been so good during the regular season when they score first. Just that positive momentum that they were able to build basically it just squashed any negative feelings and any negative emotions that they had carrying over from last game. And then, it was a pretty complete game top to bottom. Like you can't really pick out anyone that had a poor game. I love Cassian's game, the physicality to it. Archibald was back in the lineup and he was out there running around and bumping guys again, which was great to see. McDavid and Draisaitl, although I thought it took them a little bit, the 2 big guns, I thought, to get going. Like they weren't at their best right from the drop of the puck, but they got there.
They got there for sure. You're right.
They got there for sure. So it was like they.
Like Draisaitl was dominant in the final 2 periods, like physically overwhelming in the offensive zone, right?
Yeah, and it just took them some time to get there, which is okay. And that's where your power play, I think, won you that game because you score that first goal and then all of a sudden you enable those guys to get there. But yeah, top to bottom was just a solid game. You're going to see a big pushback from LA on their home turf. So the next one's going to be maybe you guys can comment on this. As you had some buddies, we watched the game together, and I said, guys, I would rather win this game 3-0 than 6-0. Because I feel like that 6-0 is like a push then for LA. They're like, well, we accomplished what we needed to. We got a split on their home ice, and now we're going back to our home ice and screw these guys. I think they can run it up 6-0 against us. That's not us. So you're going to see a big pushback from LA.
Gager, what do you think about that?
Cass has something there, but I do not think that because of the way that the goals were scored, I'm just looking at directly from Quick's standpoint, he got beat with shots that, they're a little bit suspect. He should have had 3 of those saves, right? So like that bobbly one, that's a stoppable puck. Even the Puljujarvi goal, like he blew it through him. Like there was a definite chance to stop that. And for Evander Kane to rip one by him by the top circle, that sucks the mojo.
I just turned around and fired it through, and there was a screen, but that screen was way out high, right?
Way
it wasn't.
Yeah, he didn't pick that up at all. So Yeah, you don't want to embarrass the other team, but I don't think there was any. They just played a hard, solid game and were beating quick with I think stoppable pucks at that point, and that's not only going to help the confidence of these guys that are scoring goals and getting in on the scoring, but maybe take a little bit of that quick mojo away as well.
Cass, do you think the Oilers can play as physical as they did last night every single night? Like I doubted up until last night that the Oilers could play a game like they did last night. And maybe it's because, they got Archibald back in his playoffs and it's Cassian. But with this group, I mean, I didn't think they could, like at the end of that game, like middle third period, I didn't think the Kings wanted to be hit anymore. Like I thought the Oilers actually like beat them down physically last night. Can this team play like that, or is that a one-off? Yeah. I know they're a good team, but can they do that regularly, do you think?
I think they can. And the reason I think they can is because they added Evander Kane. You have, and Kulak was the only guy without a hit, but you have a little bit more size and physicality on the back end. Darnell Nurse can play physical in the playoffs. And then you had your guys that should be running around, building that type of momentum, doing that in Cassian and Archibald. And then your top guys jumped on board too. I don't expect every game to be as physical as that. But I think they, or knowing that they have the ability to play like that is important. And it's important for this group to be able to hit that gear if they need to. And that's, like, if they're able to keep doing this, if you guys recall me saying, like, I thought, and I still think LA was so overachieving during the regular season that they were playing at their physical capacity max. Like they were doing everything they could physically, aggressively physically, like they were just, McClellan had them playing at their peak. What we saw from a physicality standpoint yesterday for Edmonton was their next level. And they have the capacity to get to that next level and be at that next level for the playoffs. Are they going to do it every night? No, probably not. Do they have the capacity to? I think they could. They just need to spread the minutes out wisely.
Gager, how much does it help in a series? Because Cass just mentioned it, so let's go there. The fact that McDavid didn't even play 17 minutes last night. Draisaitl was like 15 and a half. And I know they had some physical investment in that game, so it's different than just cruising around offensively for 22 minutes. But the fact that those guys played 5, 6, 7 minutes less than they usually would, does that factor in come game 5, 6, or 7, or at this stage with these types of athletes, it doesn't matter that they only played 17 minutes or that Kopitar played 26 or whatever it was in game 1?
Definitely. I mean, it was so funny that after one of the power plays, the first unit comes off after a minute, after a stoppage of play. Like, when have we seen that? Just to keep everyone engaged in the game. I think that's one of the reasons why the game was so physical and everyone got into it, because they saw, I mean, people have been talking about it. You see Connor and Leon playing physical, and then Archibald physical, Hyman always physical, like just everyone just fed off everything. There was the arena itself was just vibrating the whole night, man. It's it's so nice to go to a hockey game and everyone's engaged in the actual game. There's no extracurricular stuff going on. Every little thing that happens, everyone is cheering, and the Oilers just did a masterful job of feeding off that energy, but not going across that line where their emotions got the better of them and taking penalties and making silly plays. So great job to keep everything in check, but awesome job to use it to their advantage as well.
If we would have had an episode on Tuesday after game 1, it would have been a lot of Mike Smith chat. There's no doubt about that. And you guys both talked about it on my show, Gager, Cass, and obviously a post game and stuff. And last night, the very first shot trickles through and you see it squirt out on the other side. You're like, oh shit, here we go. And they got back and batted it away. He drew that penalty got bumped in the head a bit. Full blown back, pretty decent embellishment there by Smith, but I think it was the power play that they scored on to get her going. So, Gage, let's start with you. You're the goalie on Two Guys and a Goalie. Your thoughts on the first 120 minutes that we've seen of Mike Smith so far in this series, and how we decipher what we might get going forward here?
Well, I think we've seen a good Mike Smith. We've seen some little bit shaky, I thought, in that first 10 minutes of the game, to tell you the truth, until he, I think it was until the fourth shot kind of hit him square in the chest. And after that, you could see he was a little bit more in control of his movements and how he moved in the crease and how he anticipated plays was really good, even to the point where you don't see Mike Smith when he goes behind the net and stops the puck. He's looking to play it. The first probably 3-4 touches, he's ringing it high on the glass around, trying to get it out and just making simple plays.
Like back-to-back times, right? Like it came right back again. He was just like, all right, here we go.
Yeah. So, and that's normally what you see, right? If they're saying play it on your forehand, you can get it up on the glass. If anything, everyone can sort things out from there, right? So the good thing is we haven't seen Mike Smith's best too, right? I don't think we've seen glimpses of some pretty good saves, but he hasn't had to be all world yet. And it'll eventually, hopefully, if the Oilers go far in this playoffs, they're going to need that. But I like his game. I mean, he's a confident individual. We all know that, hearing him talk after games, and I'm optimistic. The only thing I mean, just in my own goalie mind, I'm thinking, gosh, if the Oilers win next game, do you start Mikko game 4 and go from there? Because I just look at I know Cass is shaking his head at me here, but just looking at how these guys have played in the past, and once one plays too much, and they're going to be playing a lot of games here. I don't know. I think I don't know. I'm teeter-tottering on this.
Cass, no way. Like you shook like no way.
If they win another one to start Mikko for game 4, why? Yeah. I don't understand why you would. Like, if Smith plays atrocious and they squeak out a win, okay,
I think Gager's thinking of getting ahead of maybe an off game from Smith, just because he would have played 4 in a row at that point. Right, Gager? Is that kind of what you're thinking? Like, you're kind of playing a hunch in that situation, right? Like,
I think we're going to see Mikko at some point in the playoffs. I just do. I think at some point we're going to see him, but I don't know. I think, gosh, I know it's tough because the last thing you want to do is have Mikko go in, play a subpar game, give the Kings some juice, and then they start rolling, right? That's the fear about this. But man, I just we haven't seen one of these guys really take the reins and run with it for a long period of time without some dips. And I know there's dips in the playoffs. I'm wondering if keeping another guy fresh might help the Oilers moving forward through the playoffs.
Interesting discussion to have. Now, with that being said, what I would do, Cass, is I would not question anything Woodcroft does moving forward. Like, the guy has the magical touch, man. I mean, you've broke down every game, Cass, on TSN 1260, and a lot of them right here on Two Guys and a Goalie. Can you remember since Jay Woodcroft took over being like, I don't know about that decision. Like, I'm not too sure what he's doing here. Like, I can't remember being like, that didn't seem like a good in-game adjustment, or that didn't seem like the right change moving into the next game. Like, he just seems to have such a good grasp on things. I can't even think of an area, and you can't say this about many coach in any league anywhere, and maybe it's because we've only got, 3 months of the guy. So there's, it's still a honeymoon phase with how well they played, but I can't think of an area to criticize this guy. Like, he's knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, he basically has done everything very, very logically.
Yeah.
Like, everything has just made sense. Like, where you're not like, that really doesn't make sense. I don't understand that. Why would you do that? Like, he hasn't done any of the, why would you do that at all? Like, I haven't really seen that.
Yeah, not
the
once.
The only thing I didn't like was I was like, Nima Leinen isn't here anymore, and that made me sad.
Yeah.
But it wasn't that it was like a horrible decision.
But he was only here because they were banged up anyway, right?
And he had a baby too. He had to go.
Yeah, so I get it. So that wasn't even one of those. It was just like
But imagine that's the only thing that we can come up with is.
I know. It's like, yeah, he said and it was probably not even his decision. It was undoubtedly Ken Holland with that too. So it's I don't even count that as anything. But yeah, there's nothing you can point to where you're just like, yeah, that was a horribly bad, awful decision. Why did he do that? So kudos to him for being spot on thus far.
What was the changes made last game? Archibald?
Russell out, Archibald in, Fogle down with Cassian and McLeod. And Fogle, Cassian, McLeod was a pretty good line.
It was a really good line. And then just keeping the top six together, like everyone was, we got to change this. We got to change this. He just stuck with it, man. And that's key, I think, for confidence in players that got, if I don't play well, I'm going to be down on the third line and not playing anymore. He's that's strong, man.
I know a lot of the times, I think people will watch it and go, oh, the coach with the strategy and the roster decisions and stuff. But Cass, how much does just the vibe of a coach rub off on a group in a dressing room?
It can. I think it filters coach to leadership group than to the rest of the team. Because I think if the coaching staff and the kind of the core guys are on the same page, that attitude filters out a little bit. It filters out a little bit, and then it's reinforced by what the coach is saying on a day-to-day basis or a night-to-night basis in the dressing room. So it's like you have your smaller group meetings with the leadership group. You get them all on the same page. They're spreading that same identity and same verbiage and same personality and same identity to the rest of the team. And then when the coach walks into the room, you're just reinforcing that further. So I do think there's I don't want to say guys feed on it, but you kind of do. Demeanor during the game certainly will affect. Like if a coach is all amped up and going crazy, then it's way easier for the bench to be all amped up and going crazy. I love Torch. John Torchetti was I had him for a little bit in the minors in Houston. And he had a thick Boston accent, like really, really thick, like get to the car type of accent.
The car. I like that.
And he would get fired up on the bench, and it was way easier to get fired up too. And I think that's actually the only time I've had a coach ever yell at me personally, like yell at me on the bench in the game, because he was yelling at us not to yell at the refs, and then he was losing it on the refs, and then I just lost it on the refs. I'm like, I couldn't help myself, just going nuts on something, and then he's yelling at me again, and everyone's yelling, and it was so much emotion. But to have like a calm presence there makes a big difference in that. I guess the fairly positive attitude, I would say, and encouraging the right things while trying to not downplay the negative things, but
it seems like he has faith in everybody.
Yeah, and guys, I think feel that they feel that if you feel like the coach believes in me, and when he puts me out there, he trusts me and what I'm going to do. That's important.
Hey, when Torchetti was yelling with his Boston accent, did it just naturally come through to you too? And were you also like yelling in a Boston accent? No, okay. I was just wondering. Yeah.
Come on, ref. Come on.
Gager, special teams have been all Oilers so far. I just was looking it up as we were talking about some of the other things we were discussing. Los Angeles Kings special teams in the regular season, for lack of a better term, kind of sucked. I mean, their power play was 27%, or 27th in the league, I should say, not 27%. That'd be really good. But they're 27th in the league on the power play, 22nd in the league on the penalty kill. And I mean, so far, yesterday they got the first couple power plays in that hockey game. If they can get one there, maybe it's a different game. Like, I don't know how, I guess this would be my question. Can Los Angeles win this series if their special teams keep going the way that they are right now?
Oh, not a chance. I mean, Cass, you mentioned how the first goal was so important. I mean, I think the reason why they scored that first goal is how the PK was so dominant against the LA Kings. I mean, their power play was anemic. It didn't have anything going for it. But on the flip side of that, man, the juice that you get from killing a penalty, especially 2 in a row like that, I think even at the start of the third, and then getting your own power play and the first 3 goals came in all facets of the game. They got a power play, got a shorthanded goal, and then a goal 5-on-5. So just dominating performance on the specialty teams. If the Kings don't figure out something, or try to simplify their power play or something like that, it's going to be very tough, because they're good 5-on-5, but I don't think the Kings can match up 5-on-5 for very long against the Oilers, especially if they're rolling 4 lines like they did last night.
Cash, you see anything on the special teams that would be encouraging for the Kings? Like,
no,
they don't have the McDavids and Dreisaitl's, right? Like, nothing against Kopitar and Kempe and stuff, like good players, but not specialists like those guys.
Nope. Nope, and you're missing Doughty, and it impacts you. I think you have a group that plays together well 5-on-5 in LA. But as I've said earlier today, as I've said multiple times, I think they're a group that's still overachieving. Now, could they overachieve and win the series? Potentially, still, yes, because they do have some good players. And as we've seen, they have the ability to play a hard game and to score some goals at times. Like, they can do it. But if Edmonton plays how they need to and their special teams plays how they need to, I can't see it happening. So I'm going to stick. You know what, guys? I don't know if we can talk about this yet, but I'm still sticking with my Oilers in 5 prediction.
Okay.
They miss Arvidsson, that little buzzsaw, a lot.
Yeah.
That guy, he's the type of kind of Yamamoto-ish and bringing guys into the fight and just a very dynamic player. Of course, they're missing Doughty, but I think up front, you're really seeing the absence of Arvidsson with this team right now. I was glad when I heard he wasn't playing.
Yeah, he's playoff type of guy. I think that they're really missing him in the top 6 for sure. That the no line was really good in game 1, not near as impactful in the game yesterday. The kid, there's 3 guys. We don't have to talk about all 3 of them. I'm going to throw 3 names out at you, and you guys can kind of pick one that you want to talk about. Yamamoto, McLeod, and Bouchard. I think all 3 of those younger guys on this team have been pretty darn good through the first 2 games. Cass, which one do you think deserves a little bit of love right now? I mean, who's impressed you more or most so far?
I'm gonna go with my boy Yamo. I think. You want to talk about guys playing like a little buzzsaw? I mean, that's what he's done too, where he's been engaged. He's been physical. Don't like the penalty he took the other night in game 1.
The first one was a bad penalty. Last night was a tic-tac slash.
Yeah. No, not talking about that one. I'm talking about the choke hold
series.
Yeah, to start the series. That one I didn't like. But aside from that, it's like, and I've said this about him frequently, is positionally, he's just in a good position all the time. And I think you've ratcheted up, or he has ratcheted up. Actually, you know what? Here, I'm going to sum it up like this. This is, and maybe you guys can comment. You tell me if I'm crazy.
You're crazy.
This is the first time. Yeah, of course. This is the first time I've watched Yamamoto, and even physically to me, and I'm like, he's playing like a man. Not like I didn't think he was before, but it's like it almost feels like he matured overnight in the last couple of weeks, just from a physicality standpoint and the way that he's playing. Where I'm just like, he doesn't feel like he's a kid anymore in this series. It feels like he's all grown up. And then he's engaged, and he's where he needs to be, and he's at the net, and he's making plays in the offensive zone and kind of doing everything he needs to do. So I don't know. I've been impressed with this game, really the last couple of months, but probably more than those other guys at this in the series so far.
Gager, what about you? Which one of those guys stands out?
Well, I'll go with McLeod because just at times when he's carrying the puck up the ice lately and challenging defensemen, there's another. A little bit of a growth, a little bit of more maturity, a little bit more of that feeling that you belong in the NHL. I see with him, and he's playing physical. Like he was winning battles, and he doesn't look like he's overpowering force by any means, but he's winning certain battles, especially in the offensive zone, getting pucks back. I think like watching Hyman do it is rubbing off a little bit on him. Great goal last night. Battling behind the net, getting the puck out, getting to the front of the net, winning that battle, and making a great tip to go shelf. I mean, and that toothless grin. I said it on the broad. It's reminiscent of Ryan Smith's toothless playoff grin. Hopefully we can see that for a while.
I didn't even know Chris Abbott was here. I don't know how he snuck in. I texted him and I was like, man, he's not getting back to me. And then I went and clicked on his little page that I got built from there, and he's just freaking sitting there. I don't even know how he slid in here, but he joins us now. Chris Abbott's just been waiting around. Chris Abbott from Coolbet. You can find him on Twitter at Coolbet Chris, presenting sponsor, of course, the Two Guys a Goalie. Chris, how long have you just been sitting there?
20 minutes.
I heard my phone dinging off in the distance, and I was like, I wonder who's looking for me.
Sorry, that's me.
I don't have my Apple Watch on, and it's just I've been sitting here. I was like, oh, I was like, maybe I pissed Dusty off. I don't know. Maybe
Sorry,
just
dude.
letting me hang. You just let me hang like Mike Keenan did to Kovalev back in New York. With the
I was filling. I was like, wait. I was just kept coming up with Oilers questions, being like, "Damn, where's Chris? Like, I want to get to Chris before we transition to anything else." And then I click, and there you are. So, with that being said, the content boys didn't come across as filler. It was a great conversation, so that's all right. But Chris, give us your early thoughts on this Oilers series, man. Like, what have you thought so far?
I saw game one. I guess I didn't need to see game two.
Yeah.
Looked like a pretty good whitewashing. And to be honest with you, absolute gaff at the end. But I had just finished tweeting, as I normally do, that Jonathan Quick was looking, turning back the clock and looking great right before that first Oilers goal. And I mean, I thought Edmonton had some, 4 or 5 grade A scoring chances to jump out to the big lead in game one as well. So I think if you're the Oilers, you got to be pretty happy here. And as we've already seen, in order for the Kings to be competitive and do it without Drew Doughty, which is Cass alluded to, is not going to be easy. Jonathan Quick has to be 2007 Jonathan Quick, or whenever he was good, 2010. Well, he's always been good. So that's asking a lot, and they're probably going to be a really good team in the next few years. But I think Edmonton is showing that they're a much better squad right now.
Well, I watched a little bit of the game last night. Chris, is the sky falling in Toronto today? Is it the wave of emotions of the playoffs are great, because
We've already been through it, right?
Yeah, we've already gone through. And then last night, I was at the game last night, and the 104th Ave was an absolute joke. You would have thought we won 2 Stanley Cups last night. We only won 1 game. So I can't imagine what it was like after Toronto won the first game, and now this one. Are all sharp objects put away and long rope put away right now for people?
Oh, it's so funny. So before the series, I was like, Tampa Bay's an underdog. I'm putting a bunch of money on this.
I'm on them.
And then game one happens, and everyone's like, "Oh, you're such an idiot. The Leafs are going to roll." And I was like, "In fact, I'm going to put more money on Tampa right now with a better price,
better number."
and then it's been awfully quiet since last night. And I mean, that's what we've seen with this Leafs team. They rode the emotion of a reportedly crazy loud building in game one, and maybe caught Tampa on the wrong foot, and maybe Vasilevsky wasn't himself. And then, then the reality kicks in the same way it's done with this Leafs team over and over and over. And I don't know if that's what happened last night or if Tampa just had a much better game. But, Toronto is renowned for getting fat and happy real fast. And, it remains to be seen what happens. But right now, the reality is the Tampa Bay Lightning have home ice advantage in a best 3 out of 5 series against a team that has the weight of the world. So, I mean, things are a little bit quiet in Toronto today. And as happy as they were after game one, they're more the other way on the pendulum after game two. And that's part of the problem, because I don't care who you are. If you're an athlete in this city, you can't avoid that crazy swing of emotion. There's no way. You cannot avoid it, and all the media attention that comes along with it. So maybe going to Tampa will be good for the Leafs if they can get away from it for a little bit, and we'll see what happens in game 3. But I'm feeling pretty good about my Tampa bets right now.
Get down to La Boca Vista with cousin Leo and just chill for a bit. That might be what the Leafs ordered.
Gager, I didn't realize this when I booked it, but I'm off to Orlando this weekend. So actually, game 4 is the day that I land. I don't know that I'm going to go, but I've got game 6 circled on the calendar. If it goes to game 6 in Tampa, I think I'll go.
Is this another work trip, Chris, or what are you doing? What's going on here?
This is a legit vacation. I'm taking a vacation to Florida for the week. So it just worked out. The Jays are going to be in Tampa, and the Leafs are going to be there too, and the condo's within an hour. So you might catch me down there rocking a Tampa Bay Lightning shirt for game 6.
Whatever works. Cass, just because we're talking this Leafs Lightning series tonight, you were on TSN 1050 earlier today, you said, and but they were asking about the other series. You said you almost got into it with the host on the Matthews McDavid Hart Trophy thing, which totally is on brand for two guys at a goalie, which is awesome. But what do you think? Like, so Toronto wins game one pretty big. You kind of talked a little bit earlier with the Oilers rolling in this game 2, 6-0, right? And then, I mean, that's a total wake-up call for Tampa, was it not? Is that what we saw? I kind of saw, like, Tampa's like, oh, shit, you know, like, they are a good team this year. We're going to have to work a little bit harder to beat them.
I don't think it was a wake-up call in that, you know, I don't think Tampa was like, oh, crap at all. They were just like, well, we lost game one. I don't think these guys know what it's like to go.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if these Toronto guys know what it's like to have a 7-game series. So let's show them what it's like to have a 7-game series. And, you know, the Patty Maroon comments of like, I don't know, like he was asked if they were panicking, and Patty Maroon was just like, why would we panic? It was game one in a 7-game series. And then they came out and they just asserted their will, and it was awesome. So yeah, it's interesting. It's kind of like not like quite like a flip between the Edmonton series, but it's like, you know, if the opposite would have happened, Edmonton won game one handily, and then they lost game two, like people in Edmonton, I think, would be feeling a little nervous. Where in Toronto, it's like they won game one and it was like, oh yeah, we're the best. And then they lost game two against the Tampa team. It's a really good team. And they lost in a controlled fashion where Tampa basically just mopped the floor with them. And now they're like, oh crap. And they're freaking out a little bit. And the big question for me in that is going to be, you know, can now Toronto respond the way that Tampa did? And to be like, well, you know, guess it's a 5-game series now.
No big deal. Got to get the next one. Yeah.
Like, just go get the next one. If they can bounce back, and they're capable of it. But so is Tampa. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, my take on it was after game one with the Leafs win is that you can't lose in 7 games if you don't win 3 along the way. So that was just hilarious.
Hey, Chris, what's the vibe around Tavares as a leader with that Leafs group? I mean, there's so much talk about Marner and Matthews, and justifiably so. You just don't see a lot about John Tavares, but you know, he's the one that they brought in to kind of help take them to the next level. What's the reaction been like to Tavares so far with the Leafs here?
You know, when he came in, it was very, very positive. And then, you know, he was looked upon as the leader, and that, you know, that first year he had so many goals and points. Honestly, when you just mentioned it, I thought, wow, nobody talks about John Tavares.
Yeah.
There's more talk about Alex Kerfoot and Ilya Mikheyev and William Nylander and Jason Spezza and Kyle Clifford. If you would have told me he sat out the first 2 games, I would have been like, oh, okay, cool. Because honestly, and that's no slight on John Tavares, it's just like the narrative has forgotten him somewhere along the way. Now, which makes me think that he could turn out to be a key factor for any success that they have. But when you bring in a guy like that with his pedigree and the little things that he's able to do in the clutch scoring, you'd think you would have heard a bit about that by now. But no, there's been no narrative. There's been no talk about him. So that's a really interesting point you brought up, because honestly, Dusty, not many people talking about him.
Yeah, I always liked Tavares, mostly before he went to Toronto. But you're just like, like nobody's talking about John Tavares. What's going on with him? Chris, before I let you go, I mean, there's less games now because it's the playoffs. It's not the regular season. But when it gets to the playoffs, does betting on hockey go up big time, or is it kind of just the same people? It's just less games for them to bet on.
Yeah, I think, you know, you get some more interested people. You get some people playing the series bets and things like that, and a few more casual people coming on board. And then, of course, with all this talk about sports betting, especially this season, there's been a little more interest. But, yeah, it ends up just being kind of more money concentrated on fewer games. And, you know, I liken it to when we offer like the World Cup in soccer. The risk is not spread around as much. You know, there's not 10 games on the schedule where if you get a bad result as a bookmaker in 1 or 2, then the other games will pick up the slack. Well, if 4 games go against you on a given day, you know, in the Soccer World Cup or in the NHL playoffs, then it can be very swingy, very up and down. So that's the biggest difference for on an operator side when it comes to this.
Are you seeing a big uptick in the Miami Grand Prix, just on a personal level?
I can get you some numbers, Gager. I got to be honest with you, that has not been on my radar whatsoever. Is the Miami Grand Prix? I will tell you that coming into the season, anyone who was high on Mercedes has got to be very, very upset with themselves.
Those Mercedes futures bets aren't looking good right now.
You got to say that they're dead. They're dead. They're absolutely dead. So it's wild. Yeah,
excellent, buddy. Well, hey, have a good vacation again, and we'll catch up again in the future. Okay.
I will let it be known that even though I travel a lot, it's very seldomly for vacation. Even those trips to Vegas, I have my phone on all the time. I'm actually going to try and turn it off this week. So we'll see what happens. But yes, I'm going to try and get a tan and hang out with Cinderella a little bit and see if I can't find myself like a desperate stepsister in the castle.
Go to Harry Potter's land there. Go to Diagon Alley. There might be some...
Already got the park hopper at Universal or whatever it's called. We're going to take Hogwarts from 9 3/4 or what's it called? The Hogwarts Express. Yep. Yeah, we're going to do it
perfect.
The prices are outlandish. I'll just say that.
Don't worry. Tampa's going to knock off the Leafs. She'll have it covered by that. Don't worry. That'll be fine. Yeah.
If Tampa wins and Miami beats Philly in the NBA, it's paid for. So we're good.
There you go. Perfect. See you later, man.
All right,
go. That's Chris Abbott. He's not joking. That's just how it works. And I really like the Miami pick, so that's going to be okay. All right, hey guys. Two things I want to get to before we wrap up. One, Calgary, Dallas. Game 2 coming up here. Gage, let's start with you. There's a shutout in that game. It was a low-scoring game. Do you kind of think that's what we're going to see? Is that Calgary, Dallas? Is that what this series is?
Yeah, this is. I watched that game. It was a heavy game. Although I don't think you saw the best from Dallas yet. I mean, I think they only had like 16 shots or something.
Yeah,
like that.
There was nothing.
Markstrom was really good in the third period. Really, really good. So they're going to have to do something special to get the puck past him. But this is it's a Sutter type of playoff series. It's just big bodies banging. Already some mean blood with is it Anderson and Tkachuk and stuff. So definitely it's a must-watch TV tonight, just because it's fun to watch two teams that you hate, and so you just want them to beat the crap out of each other. So it's a fun series so far.
Cass, I can't remember. Did you say Dallas was going to give Calgary a little bit of a push, or somebody? I can't remember. Somebody I was with.
No, I didn't say
Dallas
that. I thought Calgary struggles in the second round. Okay. I'm not surprised at style of game. I mean, that's going to be a Sutter game, kind of the way Dallas needs to play too. Yeah. Like they're going to both play a little bit more the lock it down in your face, aggressive, but not offensively aggressive style. So yeah, I mean, I would expect a lot of 1-0, 2-1 style of games. So that's what we're going to see in this series. So it was mostly what I expected.
And Ottinger, it's Ottinger, right?
Ottinger, yeah.
He's a good goalie, man. He kept them in that game, I thought, with some really good saves. So really good goaltending battle so far with a guy that's with some good experience and a guy just breaking in. So pretty cool that way.
All right, before we go, Hockey Helps the Homeless. We got the draft tonight. Are you guys both there tonight? Am I going to see you both in public together for the first time? I think we're all going to be together for the first time in a while. That'll be good. Gage, I heard you're not even draft eligible.
Yeah, I got signed in the off seaon.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, we were looking at the list today. Somebody's like, Gager's not even draft eligible.
Yeah, I'm playing. I'm in net though. So
which are you on the CL team?
Yeah.
No, you guys. I was telling one of your players the other day. I was texting you. And I was like, hey. Actually, I know the team. I don't know where you guys pick, but I think the team after you is texting me because I played for them before, and they're like, hey, if you're available, we're picking you. And then I got a bunch of guys, Gage, are on your team that I grew up playing with, so you might be able to get some dirt and some old stories.
Really? Oh,
yeah, whole bunch of Shore Park guys that we played together for years and years and years. So, and a bunch of them are absolute messes too, in a good way, like in a fun way, not in a bad way at all.
I got to give these guys some O'Douls because I don't want to be jumping side to side like Mike Smith tomorrow, man.
Yeah, Gager's gonna hurt himself so badly this weekend. It's gonna be interesting. I think our Bell Canadian Brewhouse team's picking like 6th or something, so we'll see what ends up happening there. But that should be fun. And then also last night, you guys have been up. Gage, you're in the press box. You guys have both been there. The bag, the popcorn. They got that pot, like the whole thing set up again. So, but it's a pretty big bag of popcorn, right? Like. I ate the entire bloody bag last night, and I don't, but I just say you're dabbling in it. It's not like I sit down and I'm like, blah, blah, blah. I'm just dabbling in it throughout the game, and I don't know if I've ever done that's a huge bag of popcorn. Do you guys ever even get close to finishing that bag of popcorn in the press box?
Oh yeah, I'd throw.
Really?
That down.
You take that
Yeah.
thing down? That's like a full-blown movie popcorn.
If like it was great going there, but I remember when it first opened up, there was a whole candy bar up there too.
Yeah.
So I was throwing
nice.
the Smarties, a pretzel and stuff. I had the coffee mug with booze in it. I mean, latte. And man, it was it's a great place to watch a game. We'll talk about. I mean, the with the roast coming up, I brought Kent Tiley there. He turned into a complete fanboy, like I said before. It was it's a great it's an awesome place to watch a game because you can see plays develop. And I think, you know what? I think a lot of writers and sports writers, they should move down and watch the game sometimes because the game looks so easy from up there. I think a little bit more perspective I was thinking about this during the game. I thought, you know what? Writers should be able to go down and watch the game from like ice level.
It looks like a video game up top, man. Like it just does.
You see it so clearly. Like, and plays develop. What's really frightening to me is when Connor McDavid or Leon make a pass or do a play that you don't see from way up there, but they see it from ice level. So for all the writers out there, go spend some money and buy a ticket down low and get a little bit more perspective for your
we had the family down there like 8 rows up or whatever for the Ovechkin game, and it's so bloody quick. Like up top it just looks like everything's so slow, and like I'm sitting there and I'm like, you got that guy back door. I'm like, and then you get down there and you're like, Jesus Christ, things move really 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 quick. But Cass, I mean, you've been up there quite a bit, man. It's a different perspective, and you get popcorn. So what are you going to do?
I spent a lot of time in press boxes in my day. A lot of time. So yeah, I definitely can order a full bag of popcorn for the beat. And,
I didn't mean it to come across that way. That's not what this discussion was supposed to be about. Sorry, buddy.
And you know what? There's not very many places in the league still have candy in the press boxes. Columbus has the best candy bar in the league.
Really?
I will say that.
Some Willy Wonka type stuff.
Yeah, they had a pretty hefty candy bar, and it was like good candy too. It wasn't like you're not just getting like the bulk bad stuff. Like it was like solid gummy bears type of candy. Like it was legit.
Really?
Edmonton's candy bar was pretty good, but yeah, post COVID they haven't had that sucker back
they got like
there.
bags of chips and stuff out there again now. But,
yeah, hopefully they get it back at some point.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
All right, well, that's going to do it for another episode of Two Guys and a Goalie, brought to you by our friends at Coolbet. Sorry again to Chris Abbott. I just left. How long was he sitting there for, guys? Because you probably saw him come up on the...
I saw him. I should have put my hand up.
It was like 5 or 6 minutes. It wasn't horrible.
That's not too bad.
He was doing work anyway. I saw him.
Okay.
He was on his second screen. He was fine.
Yeah, all right, good. All right, boys, well, I will see you tonight at the Hockey Helps the Homeless thing, and that's going to be happening all day tomorrow at Terwilliger. A ton of hockey at Terwilliger tomorrow. For Gager and Cass, I'm Nielsen. Enjoy the weekend, guys. We'll be back with another episode of Two Guys and a Goalie on Monday. If you've been watching on the live stream, make sure you subscribe to the podcast. And if you've been listening on the podcast, we appreciate the download. Leave us a 5-star comment. That would be great. Enjoy the weekend, guys. See you.
Peace.
See you.